Hello, beloved friends of the light. I've been working on for a couple days, putting together a little talk here, I guess, about becoming a pillar of civilization and not a burden upon life. So, what does this mean to become a pillar of civilization and not a burden upon society? How do you view your current contribution to life, and where would you like to improve it? We should all mostly have a small understanding of what it means to be a burden. Most of mankind have some kind of burden they deal with, whether it be effects of bad decisions made earlier in life, family members who have lost proper physical or mental functioning of the body, or possibly just choosing to take on huge amounts of worldly responsibilities for one reason or another. So, in this context, most of us understand burdens. Now, let us look at how we can be a burden upon life by not understanding the true nature of our being. We do not have to look very hard. Just look at any aspect of our so-called civil society today. I won't go too deep into this. So let's just skim the surface, per se. We burden life with our misuse of thought, feeling, and the spoken word. This vibration oppresses all substance on the planet, on the earth, and fills other persons with wrong concepts and impressions. Our disregard of the planet by making destructive chemicals and spewing them everywhere, clear-cutting forests, producing mountains of trash, and prying from nature secrets we are not responsible enough to handle. Pretty much any singular avenue you put your attention on, and you will find us making a burden out of ourselves. Let's also consider the false concept that some people are born lucky or born into seemingly more fortunate circumstances than others. I want to restate the truth that all persons before embodiment choose their parents and circumstances based upon conditions that their personal karma influences. This is life's law of perfect justice and perfect responsibility manifesting. It has to be this way. Any other way would be open to corruption and chaos. But divine law operates unceasingly, unflinchingly, and keeps the entire mechanism of eternal, universal perfection and expansion ever marching on. Think about that for a moment and consider its implications. It changes everything in how most people consider or view life circumstances on this planet, in this schoolroom. This does not mean being born into a rich family or a poor family has any intrinsic value to life. It only means that before embodiment, karmic law required certain conditions to be met in order for certain lessons to be learned. Hopefully, we do not always learn the lessons. However, and have to repeat them again and again and again. When you see this correctly and understand this correctly, it removes so much burden from the shoulders, does it not? It will cause you to understand how some can be born into such squalor conditions and others be born billionaires. But don't misunderstand me. Both are equal. Both conditions are hard. In fact, the rich person has it even harder. Both conditions have identical potential. Both conditions are also viewed equally by life, and you may think the person rich in worldly possessions is better off, but there is a reason that a particular statement has held weight for millennia. It is easier to get a camel through the eye of a needle than to get a rich man into heaven. Most of us have heard this statement, but why is this so? I will tell you this: the way to eternal knowledge and divine power has nothing to do with accumulating anything from this world, and everything to do with renouncing it all and a return to humble simplicity. I do not mean you have to have zero possessions. It is all about how they are used and if deep attachment has been created. Consider the fact that the more so-called wealth you collect and businesses you create all require ever-increasing amounts of attention. Remember the importance of attention. It is the direction of your creative life flowing through your consciousness. Your attention can only be upon the world or upon universal perfection at any one time. Hence another statement: if thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be filled with light. When our attention is upon the correct understanding and upon the source of all things, that makes anything possible. Miracles can happen, and substance obeys us. At this point, an individual with proper attentive capabilities and a true seeking heart would say, "How can I function in this world then, and also attain perfection?" That is the big question, isn't it? How could Jesus expect us to do greater things than he did, after all? This line of questioning leads us to the art of our existence. Learning how to properly perceive life around us, even when it is mired in all sorts of degradation and expressing terrible darkness. How do we look past the destructive expression we see on the surface with our physical eyes and properly perceive the mechanism of divinity operating underneath with our inner eye? It's really a switch from judgment and condemnation to a perception of reality that is underlying all physical expression. This shift of perception is a tremendously powerful tool and necessary component of first awakening, and then, with a life of great implementation, potential complete freedom. So this great perception shift is what all great teachers and ascended masters have long tried to bring to mankind's attention. And every teacher, true teacher, has done this in somewhat unique ways and personal expression of their own life and the culture that he took embodiment in. That point brings another factor to light in considering the impact of time, culture, translation, and the need of the hour that all influence the essence of the teaching that was brought forth from these various teachers. So we, as seekers, are faced with digging through a whole mountain of books and instructions and travel and sitting with this and that person and learning this and that technique. It can be so overwhelming. And now there are all kinds of new distractions emerging in a new age frontier coupled with social media. How does one sort it all out to really know which is the purest path? To me, that is the next most important question of the hour. In a conversation with a dear friend the other day, I shared one of the greatest truths I'm aware of. It is this: as you get closer and closer to coming home, the truth of life revealed gets simpler and simpler. Only mankind makes life so immensely complex. But in reality, the entirety of creation is powered and run by a single principle. Let that sink in. All the useless complexity we see mankind enmeshed in today is exactly the result of intellects gone wild. You can see this simplicity demonstrated and embodied by so many of the world's reputable students and teachers of truth. When listening to them speak, do they not make life sound so simple and yet so profound? Has any great teacher ever made their teaching seem complex, difficult, or hard to obtain? In fact, much of the time this is also true. A great teacher's beautiful response will be a very small amount of words. I remember sitting for hours with my teacher, deep in the silence, when a question in me would arise. I would sit with it for a while, considering its value. The moment I would speak out loud the question, one of two things would occur. Either I would be answered directly and instantly from within, or my teacher would consider it and then answer. Many times his single sentence responses would be so perfect and profound and simple, I would instantly receive an experience of revelation, permanently transforming my consciousness. This was always accompanied by a vibrational shudder. Like I said in my last recording, true understanding of life is always accompanied by a change of your frequency. It has to be just so. Often people will have very slight changes of understanding, and the frequency change is slight enough to go unnoticed. But it is happening. So, after sharing these details, I want to touch again on how I personally define true teachers and true students. For some reason, I feel this is such an important distinction to keep discussing. My perspective is this: a true teacher should only be called such when they can demonstrate. What do I mean by demonstrate? It is a term to signify one who life has found worthy and humble enough to trust again with proper stewardship of miraculous power. And I term a student all those on a path to this point, but not yet accredited with this undeniable acknowledgement from life. So I ask, is this a just perspective? Because there is no way to fake demonstration. Either you can manipulate matter instantaneously, or you cannot. This is a responsibility that cannot be taken and can only be granted by life. Do you understand this? It is our inheritance, all of us, when we earn the right. But until then, we should carry on deeper into the purest and simplest understanding that leads us there. Not for the sake of the power itself, but because it is the next stop or marker on our journey. Until the moment of demonstration, we are all just students on the path. But so often right now, true students are somehow being distracted by other lesser students who are conjuring up all manner of false appearances of divinity. A great misuse of their understanding is occurring and trapping others in falsehood. Pay close attention, please. So with this understood, the next consideration is how to proceed on our path. Do we seek out others to learn from or go solo? If we do seek out others, how do we discern who is appropriate an appropriate individual to learn from? With everything I stated about teachers and students, I leave this for you to search out in your own heart. The only example I can share is my own path of desiring, of deep desire, to meet a true teacher and see a true demonstration of the things Jesus taught. To me, that's the only thing you should desire. I had no teachers before him, and I will only seek another like him or greater now. That's all I can say on the matter. Aim high. Make yourself worthy. Let life do the rest. Remember this. A true teacher doesn't really want to be a teacher. They do not seek acknowledgement or attention. They have gone beyond this. That is a requirement of life. Therefore, only life can guide you to them. They are quiet and hidden for the most part. You will not find them on TikTok, YouTube, or TV. But if life brings you to their doorstep, they will recognize the purpose of your visit. So with this said, I see all others and myself as students. All students like to talk and share, such as I'm doing now. Teachers don't really want to do this, but will answer true questions from the heart. This is a process, really, of students teaching themselves. Like I'm doing right now. I am talking, but really I am teaching myself. It's a little like a blacksmith striking the iron to shape and strengthen it, to temper it. Students need this. Teachers do not. So how does all this tie into the title of this recording? How to become a pillar of civilization and not a burden? The moment you accept the single lesson life has been waiting hundreds of thousands of years for you to recognize, you begin to again become a pillar. This lesson I speak of is recognition of complete responsibility for all your past, present, and future. Total acceptance that you have been fucking up and not paying attention. Total acceptance that the circumstances of your existence are perfect and just. Total acceptance that you and only you are in control of your destiny. This recognition doesn't happen instantly for most, but when it does, you will finally understand what it means to live fully in the present moment. The closer and closer we learn to hold our attention on the present moment without wavering is training any great teacher will impart. It is the test life compels us to pass. The first time you do this, you will know exactly what I mean. You will be rewarded. Guaranteed. It's a little harder than it sounds, but worth every effort. You will remember who and what you are after this. Life will make it so. And from that moment on, you are no longer a burden upon life and can consciously assist in correcting the errors of all mankind, thus becoming an ever-increasing pillar of civilization. The cliche of life being beautiful will have such a greater meaning. Even the absolute squalor and most degenerate activities found in the world will be properly understood, as well as the way these conditions are to be properly rectified. All change in life has to happen on the inner first. Cause and effect. The inner is a realm of cause. The outer world, the physical world, is the realm of effect. Altering the realm of effect does nothing to change the realm of causation. Remember this. When you change the frequency of your inner environment, life responds in kind. And you change your frequency by entering into deep contemplation in order to discern true, correct action. Only in the deep stillness of mind and body can you receive truth. With practice, the stillness of mind can accompany you into your daily activities and provide a near constant stream of proper conduct and proper expression. It's that simple. It really is tremendously easy to fulfill the requirements of life in order to obtain the abundance it wants you to express. But the challenge is in navigating the unceasing distractions mankind generates and the vibrational pressures impinging upon your mind and body constantly. Life only requires us to get ourselves out of the way and to literally forget everything that you think you know about life. That sounds funny, but I am actually completely serious. It's a requirement of life that has to be done at least once in order to fully awaken. It personally took me 7 to 10 days of 24 hours a day of full-on locked attention, of discrediting every worldly thought and feeling that arose while sitting at the feet of my teacher to pull this off. Your path could be easier or more challenging. No one knows. But this is why I stress the importance of not getting deeper involved in all the nonsense of the world. And this is why I am calling all the false New Age divinity concepts a trap. On the surface, these things look good and wholesome, but in the end, every bit of it has to be dropped and forgotten in order for life to find you worthy of true progression. So with all this said, learn to insulate yourselves, discern truth from falsehood, and remember, Complexity is most likely false. Simplicity is most likely true. May your path be certain and true as you once again become a pillar of civilization and shrug off all behaviors of burden. Bless you all.